Welcome back to our channel, Exposing the Great Australian Government.
While we're still talking about the land in that system, what they've done, the definition of land includes the buildings on it. So your house, you don't own jack shit. That's being very polite, what these people have done. And like we keep saying, political parties are not within our Commonwealth of Australia Constitution Act. But you've got to realise that this is just a coup d'etat and take over everything. And we are just chattels to be bought and sold in their system. We're not even recognised as living in their system, because when they removed our preamble, whereas the people, they don't recognise us as living. So if you're not living, you don't own anything. And our rates that we pay for these extortion racket councils is the rent that we pay to political parties. It's time to wake up, people.
Paying rent to live in your own house. So, I can explain this to you. I can't comprehend it for you. When we wake up, Commonwealth of Australia Constitution Act 1901 as proclaimed and gazetted. Part 2. The Senate. 7. The Senate. The Senate shall be composed of senators for each state directly chosen by the people of the state, voting until the Parliament otherwise provides as one electorate, not by political parties.
This is the same as before, the one electorate. All senators are supposed to, under our Commonwealth of Australia Constitution Act, are supposed to represent the state. That is, with Queensland, New South Wales, whatever state they're under and they're voted into, they represent that whole state.
Part 3. The House of Representatives. 24. Constitution of House of Representatives. The House of Representatives shall be composed of members directly chosen by the people of the Commonwealth, and the number of such members shall be, as nearly as practicable, twice the number of the senators, not by political parties.
Yes, as I said before, the House of Representatives are members of the House of Representatives. They are supposed to be MHRs, not MPs as they are today. They're in a system, they're telling us that they're not representing us. They're MPs, members of political parties. Wake up. A member of the House of Representatives only represents his own area, his or her own area. This system of they represent the political party, no. They're supposed to represent us and their electorate, whatever they're in. And that way we can talk to them, we can make sure they're doing what our electorate wants. Like there's a different idea and live when you live in a city or when you live in a country. There's a difference, and we've got to have our members represent us in our electorates.
So, treasonous political parties' status of their Queensland as a sovereign, independent and federal nation where the treasonous political parties own the governors, courts, police, which are mercenaries, all land, and the executive government is now the Crown. So you've got pile of shit on the left, then you've got their Queensland Parliament seal, where you can see the flag, she's standing in front of it, which is treason. Elizabeth II, Queen of Australia, and their Supreme Court, Queensland. Then we go to these traitors. So the above 6 so-called Queensland governors all sold their souls to the treasonous political parties, all appointed by public seal of the state. The state has taken ownership of the Crown. Therefore, all 6 governors sit in treason. These treasonous governors have no Crown and constitutional authority, therefore can't give royal assent to any act. All states are the same. That's why every state parliament tells us All acts from 1986 forward are only purported acts with purported enactments. Walter Campbell was the so-called governor of Queensland that sold his soul to the treasonous political parties and enacted their Australia Acts Request Act 1985, number 69, and purportedly gave it Royal Assent. So, Queensland Parliament running two sets of books. Parliament of Queensland is not the Queensland Parliament. So on the left,
we've got political pretend Crown Acts. This is in 1991 when they're running two sets of books. You've got, if you go into Queensland legislation and then go into sections year 1991, and you go up to section Act number 29, and if you download that Act, it will have the Royal Coat of Arms on it. Now if you go outside of the Parliamentary Library and you go into the university or onto the internet, and you got on the right hand side private acts copyrighted, fraudulent copy of private functionary seal used for political party, sovereign, independent federal nation. You've got the same act as on the left hand side. You've got the Transport Infrastructure Roads Act of 1991, Act number 21, Act number 29 of 1991, and you go, and on the right hand side it's Act number 30. So from Act number 29 to Act number 30, they've changed their system on the internet. That's the only place they've changed it. And then they've copyrighted that Act, the State of Queensland, 1991, but it's the same Act. And what you've got to realise, in this Act, we are not between that fraudulent seal and the copyright. And we're not even under this damn thing on the other side, because this governor here sits in fraud since 1985 forward, when they changed the definition of the governor. This clown in Parliament at this time is still using the Royal Coat of Arms, which is actual total fraud, because you can't use a seal for what would not pass the seal, and this is a crown seal, so he's basically on the verge of treason there, because in a sense he's taken out the Crown and the Commonwealth of Australia Constitution Act, but still using their system as the pretense that it's still valid. Now we go to the next ones down, the Supreme Court Act of Queensland 1991, Act number 68 of 1991, and we go across to the other side. You've got Queensland, the fraudulent seal. Now they haven't even made this seal to this date, because they made this seal in 1997. But it's a fraudulent way of slowly bringing it in, so we just get used to looking at it. And as you can see, the part that they changed, which is the crown between it and at the top, you can't even tell what the hell it is, and it's like just a mess of a seal. And there, the Supreme Court Act of 1991, Act number 68 of 1991, and copyrighted the State of Queensland 1991. So this is, they just wiped out anybody thinking that the Supreme Court Act is a valid act. It's just and the people sitting in it are should have knowledge by the to get to the Supreme Court Act. They should have knowledge of what it is, and I know for a fact that I've been in the Supreme Court a number of times, and they definitely had knowledge of the treason that they created. Then we go down a bit further, and we've got the Child Care Act of 1991, Act number 97 of 1991. We go across to the fraudulent side. We got Child Care Act 1991, Act number 79 of 1991, and copyrighted the State of Queensland 1991. And keep remembering, we're not between the seal and the copyright. Corporations can copyright seals, copyright acts, what they do for themselves, but if it's a public act, it cannot be copyrighted. These are private acts. They cannot be. They're not. We are not between the seal and the copyright. And just taking that a bit further, you go to your Local Government Act of 1993. It's got that seal, which you can actually see what it is now, and it's copyrighted. So that's a corporation. Wake up. It's not. It's just an extortion racket. And this is proving that point. Now you go down to the Traffic Act Amendment Act. This is your damn cops. 1991, Act number 80 of 1991. Traffic Amendment Act of 1991 and Act number 80 of 1991, copyrighted State of Queensland. So wake up, people. This is not our system.
So this is not our Queensland as established under our primary law, Commonwealth of Australia Constitution Act 1901 as proclaimed and gazetted, as one of the original states shall mean such states as are parts of the Commonwealth at its establishment. Such treason within. Treasonous political parties status of their Queensland as a sovereign, independent and federal nation in a geographical sense, where the treasonous political parties own the governors, courts, police, mercenaries, all land, and the executive government is now the Crown. So we come back to the treasonous political parties created their own treasonous parliament. So our parliament went from this on the left-hand side, Parliament of Queensland, by the people, for the people, with this rag standing in front of a towel with a fake seal on it, to this fake seal, Queensland Parliament, which equals treason. So the Lands Acquisition Act 1973. Political parties changed the definition of land from yards to metres for their Australia. Therefore, this Queensland joined that system in 1985. And there's that first seal that Dick was talking about, that you can't make out what it is. This treasonous seal has no crown and constitutional authority. By using this seal, it's life in prison with hard labour. Also, it's treason because you have removed our Queen and our primary law, Commonwealth of Australia Constitution Act 1901 as proclaimed and gazetted. Queensland Government Landholding Amendment Act 1992. Land held by Queensland Government. 15A1. The Crown in the right of the state may, under this Act, acquire, hold and deal with land under the name Queensland Government. 2. A fee or charge is not payable under this Act in respect of the lodgement and registration of a transfer of land to, or a lease of land by, the Crown in right of the state under the name Queensland Government.
On that there, instead of like under our Commonwealth of Australia Constitution Act, if this land is taken as to be paid in a proper system, they have just taken ownership of land and never paid 1 cent for it. They've just taken the whole of Queensland land, and this is the same in every state. Nobody owns anything in this under this system. They're Australia, and now each state in a sovereign independent federal nation in a geographical sense. They've turned around and taken it without having to lodge or just, they haven't had to spend 1 cent. They've just taken it.
Deceitful. Right.
Oh, and their Crown in this system in 1992 is the Queen of Australia, so you couldn't pay her anyway because she's only writing on a piece of paper.